reminds me to just start the recording process, and then the contents will be available to you at a later stage as well. The provincial managers, to get hold of them, that's the list of them wherever they may be throughout the country, from the Eastern Cape all the way down to the Western Cape. Ek moet so 'n bietjie nou en dan Afrikaans praat ook, ons is tweetalig, so gaan asseblief na daardie adresse en neem dit af sodat julle in kontak kan kom met die mense waar ook al julle is en watter deel van die land julle is met die provinsie daar wat daar betrokke is. I want to just run a poll quickly just to see who we've got on board today. So if you wouldn't mind just answering that question while we just wait for a few more of the people to come through. And if you wouldn't mind just answering the poll that should be running in front of you now. Riaan, please put your hand up if that poll is running on your side so that I can see. Yeah, we're getting a response, so that's coming through. If you wouldn't mind just filling in the details there. So just quickly, we can get a bit of an idea of who's on board with us in this session today. We're focusing today on principals, governing body members, life orientation educators, the school IT champion, and then we hopefully would have some members from the RCL on the SGB involved in the session today. I have to say hopefully, because that's not looking very positive at this stage, folks. The experts tell us we need about a minute for people to respond. If they don't respond within a minute, they probably won't ever respond. So I'll give you folks another 15 seconds just to respond on that. And then straight after that, I'll just share those results quickly with you. And then we'll hand over to Riaan just to do some intros, speak to you a little bit about the Centre of Technology before he in turn will hand over to Jared to chat about what Yenza has got in their offering. Let me just go through that, and to be totally transparent, let me share the results with you so you can see we've got 14% of principals on board, 20% of SGB members, 17% life orientation educators, and we've got a whopping 49% of others. We do have some of our provincial managers on board, our CEO and our deputy CEO on board as well. So welcome to them as well. So that probably starts falling in that category of others there from that side there. So thanks very much for that. Really great that you've responded to that. I'm going to just close that, and then I'm going to hand over to Riaan to carry on with the process, and I'll then be in the background handling any queries that do come through. So yeah, over to you, Riaan. I see we have got 2 other folks on board, and I'll sort that out just now. So over to you, Riaan.
Thanks, Paul, and thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. I'm going to start with sharing my screen immediately so that we can just get this system going. I think we might be experiencing the interesting influence of load shedding. This morning, a bunch of people complained about load shedding in their areas, and we all know that when load shedding happens, there might be a difficulty in internet connectivity. But we're really happy to have the people that we have on board today here, and thank you for joining us and participating. Ja, baie welkom van my kant af. Ek is bly julle is saam met ons, my kollegas en vriende. Ek sien 'n paar bekende gesigte se name op die lys van deelnemers, so baie welkom aan julle. We're going to be talking a very interesting solution today, and in saying that the Centre for Technology aims to constantly look for great solutions in the market that has an influence in the schooling system. I think that is one of our key focuses at FEDSAS. We're a governance organization, and in saying that, the Schools Act in Section 20 propels us, really forces us to make sure that we focus on quality education for all and the development of the education process. And development for me looks towards the future. And in saying that, I think a lot of people would understand that futuristic thinking and new technologies would fit into that frame. So some of the tools that we look at and solutions we get are truly enablers. They make you as a governor, a teacher, or a principal stronger, enabling you to do the job. That would be productivity tools, the Microsoft Office 365s, whatever type tools it is to enable us to be more effective. Some are great tools that we would be doing one version. We're replacing a paper-based process with a electronic process, a digital process, like possibly D6 communication, where we don't send the letter to the eldest and only kids, but we communicate directly with a parent. And then sometimes you engage with someone, and then that someone or that solution addresses a truly systemic problem. And that's where I encountered the guys from Yenza and Jared and Farrell, had a meeting with them, and understanding what it is that they want to do, and I'm going to allow them to talk about that, is what the real issue is. Systemic change means how do we fix the real problem and not the symptom of the change? How do we fix the root of the problem? And one of those problems would be answered if I ask you these questions. And maybe we should have run a poll. Why do we teach learners? We've got to ask ourselves, why do we have a school? Is it just so that we can produce an education, or in some cases a qualification? If you've got a piece of paper, you are sorted. But that piece of paper does not translate into being an active member of society, an active member of the country that contributes to the economy. It doesn't necessarily translate into employability, knowing yourself well, developing yourself to a point where you can say, I am who I am, I was made like this, and I have these strengths and these personality types, and that suits me great for this type of profession or job. And we know that the future of work looks very different at this point in time. So in saying that, 2 weeks ago, we were international with a speaker from Spain that was sitting in France. And today we're very, very fortunate and happy to host a TED Talk speaker. I don't know if most of you are aware of the TED Talks, but Jared can introduce himself, but he's got that one under his belt. He had participated in a TED Talk series in South Africa. Jared, maybe tell us about who you are and what Yenza can offer us in the frame of where I put it and how I perceived your company, your offering, and your solution. Welcome, and yeah, have a blast. You can share your screen and take the floor. If I was on a podium, I would ask Jared to join me and ask you guys to welcome him with a round of applause. Jared, are you there? I hope that load shedding hasn't taken Jared away.
I think we've just lost Jared.
Okay, I'll see what comes up on the... Guys, this is part of the way we work now. I'm sure we were online for about 15 minutes with Jared. I don't know what just happened there. Let me just give him a WhatsApp. Just give us 1 second.
Okay, we've now lost him entirely. Hopefully he'll be rejoining.
Okay, I'm gonna continue talking while he's on. Farrell, if you can hear us, just try and see if you can get Jared online, or just get a message to me of what just happened. And understand, I'm sure the audience is happy to just give us a minute or two.
Hi, Riaan.
Yes, Farrell.
Jared tells me that the power did go off. He's in the shared office space and the generators are kicking in. Okay. So he'll be back on shortly.
Okay, wonderful. I hope for something like that. I'm sure we can just give it a second. So maybe if I can, where we want to end with this, just ask the audience to think about the question that I posed. When I spoke to Yenza the first time, their opening statement was, we want to address unemployability, and especially youth unemployment. And you can be unemployed because there is not enough opportunity, not enough work out there. Or you can be unemployed because of the fact that you have not taken the journey of career counseling, career guidance, understanding yourself, putting a CV together, understanding your strengths, the way you work, and that will give you a kickstart into employment and the employment journey. And that's where I want to frame it. Jared, I'm so glad you're back. Sorry about the power issues. We all understand.
That was hilarious. Literally, as you introduced me, it went pitch black. I'm working from a shared office space, and so they've just restarted their generators. I'm operating off my mobile phone at the moment, so hopefully it works. I'm going to probably switch off my video camera just to make sure that I've got as much bandwidth as possible. I will share my screen shortly. Just give me a sec.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jared, and don't stress about it. We work through load shedding and these issues, but yeah, we're keen to hear the message that you have for us. We can see your screen. Cool. You can go ahead.
Great. considering we've lost a little bit of time, I'm not going to spend any time introducing myself. If you want to know a bit about my background, I'm on LinkedIn. I want to use every second that we have to talk about what Yenza is and why we're doing what we're doing and why we feel that Yenza is such a critical solution given the climate that we face today. So for those Xhosa or Zulu speakers, you'll probably know what Yenza means. Yenza means do. And we're all about, the entire business ethos is around empowering and encouraging our learners to take action, to take responsibility, and to commit to their futures. And as I'm sure you're also well aware, is to go on a successful journey, especially when the destination is not known or the path is unclear, you need a guide. And so we want Yenza to be that guide, the de facto guiding platform for the youth, guiding them every step of the way along their career journey. What our guiding motto is, when you concentrate your energy along the right path, anything is possible. And we feel that one of the fundamental issues, and Riaan mentioned about, addressing, instead of addressing the symptom, looking at addressing the cause. We believe that one of the fundamental issues is that a large portion of our youth do not have direction, do not have purpose, do not know what it is that they want to do. And so we believe that giving people that direction, giving people that purpose is really empowering and also very mobilizing. And that's really what we're setting out to achieve. So to be a bit more precise what Yenza is, we're the first truly personalized career guidance, development and placement platform for the youth. And we've developed some exciting technology, which we've coined the term smart career technology, which adapts and responds to individuals based off of a data-driven and scientific approach for career and personal development. And this is how we help put people on their own career pathway. As you may have picked out, there are 3 fundamental pillars or core pillars to our product: guiding, developing, and placing. And the majority of what I'm going to talk to you today about is all centered around the guide pillar, where we've built a suite of solutions that helped us understand the individual and helps the individual understand themselves. And that's the fundamental first step along anyone's career path. And then we help build and develop the person with the right set of skills based on what we know about them, based on their strengths and their weaknesses and their chosen career path. And then finally, we provide placement services, which is obviously critical considering the economic and jobs market climate that we face. And we are really trying to address youth unemployment. But we do things slightly differently here, where we don't just show our users, the entire jobs landscape of what jobs are out there. We really want to pay a lot of attention to matching the right individuals to the right opportunities, because there is another issue that is playing out in South Africa that doesn't get enough attention. And that is that for the youth that are entering the workplace, there's a very high level of turnover, or there's a very high level of churn. And so you've got a lot of people entering the jobs market, and within 3 to 6 months, landing up re-entering the unemployment sector. And we believe the fundamental reason for that is that people are not making the right career choices. They're not developing themselves in the right ways. And there are also poor hiring decisions that are happening. And as a result, this just isn't a sustainable model. And so instead of us trying to put the fires out, we decided that we want to prevent the fires from starting in the first place. And that's why we're so excited and so keen to get Yenza into the hands of our youth at a very early stage, 14, 15 years and above, when kids are basically are needing to make very important career and life choices, but don't have the necessary guidance to do that. And so we believe that Yenza really has a place in the school environment. So how do we do this? How do we actually guide people? Well, there are 4 fundamental factors, or 4 key factors when it comes to predicting career success. And the research around this really is unanimous, is that when you find the sweet spot between an individual's interests, abilities, personality, and their environment, when you align all of those factors, the chances of career success increases dramatically. And that's effectively what our entire system or platform is built to do. So what the learners receive as part of the guide component, they receive a suite of assessments that we've built, and you'll see them as I go through the product demonstration. And this helps, as I'd said, with self-knowledge, but it also helps us understand the individual. They receive a personalized career feed where they're able to go in depth with careers that we recommend to them. And they receive a profile which also acts as their CV. And we're very excited about this profile, especially for matriculants that are leaving now in a very uncertain and difficult climate. This is, of course, one of the most important documents that they can have. And so we've paid a lot of attention at making this profile really, really amazing for the youth. There's three things that we're looking to help with this profile. One is to help the youth or an individual express the best version of themselves, and we guide them through that process. 2 is to make sure that no one is disadvantaged by the CV or the profile that they have. A lot of people don't have the right kind of access or guidance to creating a proper CV or an attractive profile, and that already pre-disqualifies an individual regardless of whether they're deserving or not, and we don't want that to happen. And then the third reason is that we want this profile to open up opportunities and unlock doors that the individual themselves might have not been able to do otherwise. And you'll see this profile come to life as we go through the demonstration. So what differentiates Yenza from the rest? Well, the analogy we like to use is the compass versus the map. A lot of other career platforms out there do a good job at providing the map, which is, the entire career landscape or terrain. The problem comes in when the map becomes very complex, overwhelming, too much information, somewhat uncertain, things are changing very quickly. And so more specifically is empower our youth in the compass and to navigate career and make progresses.
Jared?
I just want to check, is my connection stable?
Jared, we lost you for a one
Hello?
or 2 sentences there. Can you hear me, Jared?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lost you for a sentence or 2 there.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
No, we
Okay,
can.
we can hear you well.
Sorry, I just switched networks. I think I'm back on the proper network again. So I'll backtrack a bit.
Sentences, it was the complexity of the map versus the compass. Yeah, if you just recap that.
Cool. So yeah, so a lot of other career platforms do a good job at providing the map, which is essentially the entire career landscape, the territory. The difficulty with that is that when the map becomes complex to understand, complex to navigate, things become uncertain, information becomes overwhelming, and things start to change very quickly. The map becomes less and less useful, and what becomes more useful is having a compass to navigate with. And that's really where Yenza differentiates. Our innovation is around empowering the youth to build and develop their own inner compass to navigate life with. And as you said, Riaan, earlier, technology is our enabler. And so what we do across various touch points on our platform, whether it's through our assessments, our profile, or analyzing behavior off of our platform, we are combining all of this data together in an intelligent way, and we've called it a smart career algorithm, which effectively powers our recommendation engine when it comes to careers, skill development, and ultimately placement. And we go a step further here, where once we've developed a profile, a good enough profile of the individual, we're able to then place them within a particular pathway. You can think of these pathways as core competencies. And within these pathways, the individual is able to explore, discover, and develop themselves. And they'll be exposed to various pieces of content, skills courses, and careers across various sectors. The underlying principle here is that, number one, we don't believe that one should be too prescriptive, especially when it comes to guiding an individual. We're all unique. We all have unique circumstance. And you know, doing it via online, you have to be very careful not to be too prescriptive. But at the same time, we believe that there's a value in being directional, or providing direction, or providing guidance. And so we feel that by putting an individual in the right lane or in the right pathway for them to explore, this in and of itself has a tremendous value. So I'm going to stop there, and now I will jump into the product itself and do a live demonstration. I'll try get through, I might have to get through a little bit quicker than usual because of the disruption, but hopefully I'm not speaking too fast. And yeah, we'll leave some time for questions at the end. So I'm just going to use login now. FEDSAS web. Cool. So here we have, if you're 18 or if you're under 18, you obviously need to get parental consent. I am in fact above 18. Okay, so welcome to Yenza, Jared. And you'll see with all the call to actions and everything is around taking action, and that's a lot of the user journey. We've spent a lot of time designing this so that firstly, it works beautifully on a mobile phone, and secondly, anyone with high levels of technological literacy to low levels of technological literacy will be able to get through the system. So what we do is we start with a soft onboarding where we ask an individual to start the reflection process, not too intrusively, but just asking what are your favorite interests. So here we ask people to select from some categories, and I'm just going to randomly select some stuff. Big sports fanatic. Cool, so we've selected our top 6. Great, nice to meet you, Jared. A bit of confetti, and right, let's move on to the next step. So the first assessment that we've built is called the worker type assessment. Effectively, this is a vocational aptitude assessment, which broadly categorizes people into 6 worker types. So an individual can either be an organizer, a builder, a creator, a helper, a thinker, or an influencer. And how this assessment works is it classifies a person across their primary, secondary, and tertiary type. That's because no person is just one thing. We're all multifaceted. And like I said earlier, we don't believe in being too prescriptive. And we want to give people more of a broader sense of themselves. This particular assessment or framework is a gold standard framework. It's been used by the US Department of Labor. It's got 60 odd years of research behind it. And the other thing to note is that this assessment is actually scientifically validated and localized. So the results are accurate. So here we have some tips on how to answer. Again, a bit more of instruction, and throughout the entire process, there's a lot of instruction because the point here is that we want to build a technology that both is personal, but can also scale, that can be deployed and have as little human intervention or facilitation or instruction as possible. So one of the other things that we've introduced that no one else effectively is doing is that we have multilingual translation. We have this for a number of reasons. Obviously, it's important that an individual is understanding what it is that they're being asked. And we know that, language is a problem when it comes to, a large portion of our youth. And we want to make sure that, no matter what your mother tongue is, and we've got, English, Afrikaans, Xhosa, and Zulu, but we're going to be adding more languages as we go. You understand exactly what's being asked and what's being said. So absolutely no one is excluded. I'm just answering this question, this assessment randomly. The reason why just to speak to the format, we use imagery here very purposefully for a number of reasons. One is that, as they say, an image says 1,000 words. And so these are carefully selected behavioral imagery that, that explains what's being asked, the essence of what's being asked. It also helps us overcome cross-cultural barriers. And from an end user perspective, from the youth's perspective, it's very engaging to do this on a mobile phone. So I'll just try and jump into a mobile format. So this is what it looks like on a mobile phone. Very fun, very fast, very easy to use. And right now it's taken, it takes on average about 5 to 7 minutes for an individual to complete these assessments, which is very, very fast. For a scientifically validated psychometric assessment, to get an individual to complete it in 5 to 7 minutes is extremely fast. And as a result, we've already administered around 40,000 assessments as part of our pilot programs. And we were able to achieve a 90% completion rate, which is incredibly high. The benchmark for online assessments and completion rates in South Africa is around 20 to 30%. And there's a number of reasons for that. But really, we've built this to work very easy, very simple, very fast, very engaging. And as a result, we get those very high completion rates. Then once you finish the assessment, what we do that, again, others don't, is we provide the end user with an immediate report. Often what you find with other assessments that are actual assessments, they don't provide immediate feedback. The reports have to get processed, analyzed, they get sent to someone, they sit on someone's inbox for a week, then they get sent back, and then a lot of information is lost in translation. We do the marking and the analysis in real time. We want to make sure that the person that's engaging with Yenza gets full value for every encounter. Then you see the instructions that we have here and how to use the report. And you'll see here, so I've got an even creator influencer score. And we show the primary and the secondary worker type in the report. We don't show just the primary because that's not how the assessment works and that's too little information. But we also don't show the primary, secondary, and tertiary because that becomes overwhelming. And we also very much believe in not overwhelming and showing too much information because then it becomes too complicated. So here we have creator, influencer. This is what the report looks like. Very easy to navigate. Your preferred tasks, your preferred qualities, what you like, typical personality traits, jobs you should avoid as a creative person, repetitive structured environment, strict rules and procedures. I think that makes sense. Values, how you are perceived and operate typically at work. The other thing to note on the report is we spent a lot of time making sure that the reports are very user-friendly. What you find from other providers is that reports are very complicated, very complex, and are not designed for the end person or a layman, let's say. And so you always need a professional to talk through the report with you. This report is very understandable. And even if you don't understand the English words that are being described here, we have the language translation on top of it. So if you're not sure what adaptability means, you can click on the word. And there you can have the explanation of what adaptability is, as well as an Afrikaans translation, Xhosa and Zulu. So here's Afrikaans. And the explanation. Sorry, I think that could be a volume issue. Yeah, I think there might be just an issue with the explanation button, but you get the idea. Yeah. Yeah, so there you get the idea of the language augmentation. I'll try again over here. So there's an example of the explanation. So what we've done here is we haven't fully translated the report. We've done what we call language augmentation, which is to say we only translate select words within the report. That's because ultimately English is still the instructional language or the commercial language. And so we also want to help an individual improve their vocabulary as they navigate through their own reports. So here you have an example of that. And now the next step is to go onto the profile. So again, the individual is greeted with a set of instructions. And so here you have the profile. I'll just kind of scan through it so you see the layout. Very attractive, very well laid out, very clear. And I'll show you an example of what this profile looks like when you print it out as part of a CV. But just to talk to the interesting aspects that make it unique is that we've integrated assessment results into the report. So here you can see where you see the Yenza accredited badge, and we've got the worker type assessment summary over here. This is immensely valuable, and it's immensely valuable to the youth, to people that are applying for their first time jobs or applying to tertiary or university environments, because what this does is it tells the person on the other side a lot about the inherent quality, characteristic, and aptitude of the individual. What you find, especially in the recruitment space, is that you've got this catch-22 situation playing out where you need to have experience to get a job, but you need a job in order to get experience. And so that's making it very difficult for someone who's trying to get their first job to start out. And so what recruiters are often looking for is they're looking for credible, third-party, objective information about an individual in order to make their hiring decision. And often what they do is they default to someone's experience, as well as qualification. But often what's missing is the information about the individual based on a deeper understanding. And so what we do with this profile is we give and we provide that information so that hiring manager or recruiter can feel far more confident that this person is suited to their particular job or environment. So here's just an example of selecting qualities. So the qualities are mapped to the worker types. So we provide certain constraints. So this is part of the vocational aptitude framework. So we ask an individual to select their top 5 qualities, and it's done in a nice, easy to use format. And just to give you an example of the output. So very quickly, you have very useful information that is both objective as well as subjective. And we're going to be working towards verifying as much as we can in terms of the subjective evaluation of individuals. So that's an example of that section of the profile. Then we have the personality summary. So we built another assessment, which I'm not going to have time to take you through, but this is a personality trait assessment where we look at an individual across 5 dimensions. It's called the Big 5 factor model of openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, and extroversion. And so once they've completed that assessment, it would display over here. And then we have your typical about me, experience, achievements. These were the interests that we selected earlier, and any additional skills that the individual may want to add to their list. So I'll just take you through an example of inputting here. You can add your own. Game design, cool. And there you have it. So you have some skills listed over there. And as I mentioned earlier, we have, I don't know what that is. We have help all the way through. So here's an example of one of the pop-ups that are displayed across the product that help with guiding the individual as to how to fill out the different sections. You'll see them all over. So we make sure that an individual has as much information as they need, and we are going to be building more and more user-guided experience into this. The other thing to say on the profile is that it is, we are analyzing the information that lives on this profile. So if someone has told us that they want to be, say, a data scientist or an engineer, and we see they don't have the necessary qualification or experience, we're able to prompt an individual to then do certain courses or consider doing certain things or getting various kinds of experience in order to be as attractive candidate as possible. That functionality isn't in this particular demonstration, but we're on the road to building that. So then the final step here is the careers component. Apologies for this link that seems to be stuck over there. I don't know what's happening. It could be my machine. So as you see, when we get to the career section, again, we're greeted with some instruction, what you're seeing. So again, we're instructing an individual as to how to understand or interpret the information that they're seeing. And now we have, funny enough, a video game designer. Now we have the career feed, which is personalized to the individual. So if you recall, my result was creator influencer. So now I'm on my career feed and I'm seeing relevant careers aligned to that assessment. We've got 4 assessments. I've only shown you one of them. We've got the vocational aptitude assessment, or the worker type assessment, which I just took you through. We've got a personality assessment, and then we've got an emotional intelligence and cognitive ability assessment that are being built as we speak. So here you have a feed. We've purposely designed things so that everything is bold, everything is big. And the reason why we've done that is that each and every piece of content that we show the individual should be on a scale relevant to them. We're not in the business of showing people hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content and leaving it up to them to figure out for themselves. We do the heavy lifting for the user, for the individual, based on the data-driven and science that underpins the platform. So now, once you click into the career, again, you're greeted with an instructional pop-up. And what this pop-up is talking to is this career overview panel that we've built, which I think is really cool. What we're trying to do here is, at a real quick glance, we want an individual to understand what this career entails and whether or not it's suited for them without having to go deep into the description of the career. So we want to make it, we want to get across as much information as quickly and as contemporary as possible. So here, for instance, how difficult or easy is the job to carry out? Is it a high growth or low growth job? Is it going to be automated by machines in the near future or not? What is the salary prospect? What are the stress levels like? How easy or hard is it to progress? How important is experience? How important is qualification? What are your subject choices that you need to make? And what are your typical entry-level requirements? So at a glance, someone can look at this overview panel and they can get a good sense of whether or not this career is for them. What I didn't mention earlier is what we're doing, and this is part of our ethos of our business, is that we very much believe in depth over breadth and quality over quantity. So we've got about 150 high growth careers in our system, and we're building more careers as we go. The reason why we don't have as many careers is twofold. One is that we want to make sure that we're guiding people towards careers that are high growth or higher growth. And two, we pay a lot of time and a lot of effort in detailing each career as in depth as we can, because one of the other fundamental issues that you'll see with other career services is that the descriptions of careers is very superficial, very generic, and simply don't do a good job at explaining the realities or laying out the correct expectation. And what you find is people, you know, have a very basic understanding of a career. They get into a career and then they're like, this is not at all what I thought this would be, and have wasted a lot of time, effort, energy, and money. And so we believe that detailing careers properly is very important. So here we go in depth on the career. I'll come back to the course component in a sec. We detail the environment. We detail the core skills that someone needs. We detail the X factor. This is generally more on the soft skills side of things, and skills guides are generally on the harder skills side of things. Also core responsibilities. And then what's coming soon is that we're going to be creating career mapping for individuals so that they can see not only related careers, but alternative careers. So the example I always give there is, if someone wants to be an engineer, it's very difficult to become an engineer. There's not that many tertiary openings. But if you've got a mind to be an engineer, you could also be a car mechanic and work for Toyota or Mercedes-Benz, or work for these, you know, there are lots of options for you. And so we want to broaden people's scope or understanding of what options or what alternatives they have, because ultimately our mission is to integrate the youth into the economy as quickly and as frictionlessly as possible. The last thing I'll mention here is that the courses that you see over here, these are courses that are coming soon. We're not building, we're not building or developing the courses ourselves. We're partnering with other credible course providers, but the work that we're doing is contextualizing and making the courses as hyper relevant to the individual as possible, and making sure that the courses that we provide are both accessible, affordable, and credible. And this falls very much part of our develop phase of our business. So I think, and yeah, this is the last little pop-up to say thanks for completing your session. There's more to come, and stay tuned. So yeah, I think I've done it in the time that I was hoping to complete it. So it's 2:45. It leaves us a bit of time for questions, and yeah, I think I'll stop there.
Thanks, Jared. Yeah, I just wanted to see how far you are before we get towards the end. We might be losing a few people as we usually end close to. But there's been 3 very critical, good questions coming out. So I want to quickly make the question and answer session available if Paul can help us with that, and then just end off with a call to action. How do we go from here? Paul, over to you.
Oh, thanks very much. Let me just open these questions so we can have a look at them. There we go. We should be able to see that. Let's just make sure we see the right question. There were 2 questions that just came in. Let me open my camera as well so you can see me as well. Should be seeing those questions coming through now. There's questions there, Joe, that came through. Would this platform be applicable for learners with mild intellectual disability as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the assessments themselves, the personality and the worker type assessments are very basic. You don't need to have any kind of subject knowledge or intellectual ability. There are no right or wrong answers. The emotional ability assessment is also, it's based on people being able to interpret, you know, expression, and you have a basic level of comprehension or being able to read. That is also why we have language translation built into our system, to make sure that it is applicable to someone that may have learning disability. And the cognitive ability assessment we're building is is as non-biased as you're going to find. It's abstract reasoning, so it's around patterns and shapes and playing mazes and puzzles. So we're trying our very best to make sure that no one is excluded from being able to interact with the system as well as get value from the system. And yeah, like that's why we chose the route that we did with a simple me, not me behavioral imagery interface. We believe that, you know, another motto that we go by is that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And so we try to make things as simple as possible.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
the next question, Paul, I quickly want to speak to the next question. Do unemployable people exist in this context? And I'm not sure the wider context of the question, but I'm assuming unemployable or potentially unemployable people in the context of the use of technology and access would be one of the cornerstones of this question. And I'm assuming that is where it's coming from. My quick answer would be, yes, it should be, meaning, yes, it is available. But if it's not available, we should make a plan to definitely get the context sorted to ensure that the employability comes into play. I think it came from one of my colleagues, and definitely so. We should have schools that have access to this platform, at least, if not individuals and households. But the primary focus of the platform is unemployability, irrespective of the background, or the better employability, the perfect fit, the non job choosing because you think that is what society expects of you to do, and within 3 years you change career again. I don't know if you want to speak to that very briefly, Jared, because we've got two.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't fully understand the question, but just to say that someone's career journey, ultimately, if you really look at it, someone's career journey starts around 14, 15 years old and continues for the remainder of their life. And so Yenza is built for an individual of 14 years old or 45 years old. And the reality is that as we move into this technological age, people are going to have to be switching careers more often than they've ever had to. And so whilst we believe that Yenza is a platform for anyone, we want to address the red herring or the elephant in the room, which is this problem with youth unemployment. And as I said earlier, we believe that not enough is being done at the most crucial stages in the individual's life, which is already starting to pick subjects, and you're already starting to have individuals think hard about long-term decisions that they don't necessarily have the right information or the self-knowledge or understanding to do. And we want to make sure that not only can Yenza help at that moment in time, but that we can provide that continuity along their entire career journey. And the more we know about the individual, the more they engage with us, the more they participate, the better we are able to guide them along their path.
Happiness. Jared, I've got the two questions on the screen, but maybe the question that just popped up in the Q&A is even more relevant and maybe brings it together. It says, this would be great during LO sessions dealing with career paths. How does this link into the LO curriculum or the focus and the outcome of the LO curriculum? And I want to tie that to the one we use this same worker type assessments with our learners. Is the platform live and ready for anyone to use? And then we can speak about the second question. But those first two, how does it tie into the LO session and is it live?
Yeah, so firstly it ties in directly into the life orientation curriculum. I think Farrell, who's an experienced educator, he's more eloquent in describing that. Farrell, are you there?
Yeah, sure. So in terms, can you guys hear me? So in terms of the LO curriculum, all through the curriculum, be it, you know, senior phase or FET phase, there is particular focus and a number of hours dedicated for the world of work and for career development. The reality, and it, you know, we didn't actually build Yenza for this purpose, but we realized afterwards that it addresses, you know, this particular thing quite well, is an allo teacher, as I'm sure many of you who are allo teachers might know, is you end up speaking to a class full of very different types of students, very different types of people, you know, and in an hour session, how do you give a meaningful personal experience to, you know, 5 people that are interested in fashion, 7 that are sports orientated, you know, your science and geeky types of students. So Yenza really does address the LO curriculum, so much so that we've been endorsed by the Western Cape Education Department to actually roll out Yenza to all LO classes, over 125 schools.
Carol just got missing there, maybe load shedding again.
Yeah.
Colleagues, I think I want to ask the last question to one of my senior colleagues that might still be on the call. Are we allowed to use this with interviews for deputy principal? If so, where can we order? I'm gonna throw one of my I don't know, Yaku or Paul, I don't know whose mics want to raise their hand and take this one, because it's an assessment for employability. But is anyone coming in?
Yes, Riaan, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yaku, donkey.
Yes, Riaan, you can indeed use that, but it's not a criteria to. It's useful to assist you whether that person will be a match. So it's good to practice to ask the different candidates if they are willing to take part in it. It's a useful tool, but in some instances the unions will object, but there's nothing that will prohibit the use of it.
Thank you so much. So if the asker of this question wants to proceed, Jared, I'm going to ask you to wrap it up in about 2 minutes for us. What is the next step? You said you have a special offer for FEDSAS members, and you're also looking for a few schools to do some work with you. But maybe in the next 2 minutes, can you tell us how to go from here?
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 sec. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, this link, I apologize. It's something on my computer screen. It had nothing to do with the Yenza platform.
It's clear at the moment, no worries.
Okay, so we're running a pilot with FEDSAS. We're looking to get around 45 schools where we're happy and willing to offer Yenza for free to grade 9s and matriculants. As Farrell alluded to, we're busy rolling out a pilot now with the Western Cape Education Department and working with quite a few schools there. And this is part of our COVID response. We want to make sure that especially the matriculants are not a lost cohort, and they are supported and guided through these turbulent times. Grade 9 and subject choice, obviously that's also very important. So we're offering that for free to we can't offer it for free to everyone. We are a for-profit business. We do offer special rates to schools. And on top of that, we're offering an additional 15% discount to FEDSAS members. Riaan, if I don't know how you want to do it, but should schools that want to be part of the pilot program reach out to you directly?
Either way, they can reach out to me, but they can also contact you directly, and you can just confirm if they claim the pilot status that we have them on our membership base. So either way, what's easiest for the school, please contact myself or Yenza.
Okay, so there's 2 things that you can do. The one is you can contact me at jared@yenza.me, and that's JARED @yenza.me. If you can't remember Jared, you can just email hi@yenza.me. The other thing you can do is you can visit yenza.me/COVID. And there you'll see, what the offering is. You'll be asked to go to our demo site where you can input your information and you can take one of our assessments, the assessment that I just went through. You can take it yourself, see the product in action, and then from there we will get in touch with you.
Brilliant. My contact details for anyone who wants to get hold of me, if you don't have it on the FEDSAS website, is tech, T-E-C-H, at fedsas.org.za, tech at fedsas.org.za, if you want to contact me. I'm really sorry we've overrun a little bit on time. It seems like 45 minutes is becoming too short now, but the value of the information that we've gained, it's not just a demonstration of the tool, but it's more a demonstration of the journey that we see as valuable today. So I want to thank you and sign off. Tech Talk at Tuesdays. Thank you for joining us. Paul, thank you for being in the background, and all my colleagues. Jared, thank you for sharing with us and having a business drive with a specific focus of supporting our youth and making a difference in the country. From my side, that's it. Thanks so much, Jared.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers, everybody.